back on the TPO series tonight. Going to be going over single prints. I'm feeling actually really good. Really looking forward to this one. And I'm sure you're going to absolutely love it and learn a lot from it too. Obviously, single prints, really important part of trading. We're actually going to be going over single prints, buying tails, and selling tails tonight. So we're going to be over the three major parts of, all combined within the single prints topic, obviously under the TPO charts. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Obviously, my throat is getting better as well, which is nice. And I want to try and now my throat feels like it's a bit better. I kind of want to keep it better, So you might notice maybe I talk a little bit slower, take more breaths because I think before I just didn't breathe, and that was half the problem. or breathe correctly, so we say. So yeah, with that said, hope that you really enjoyed tonight's live stream, and let's go straight into it. So, see with the disclaimer as always. Let's begin then. So tonight we're going to be going over the part 5, covering single prints. Of course, if you're here for the first time tonight, more than welcome to watch tonight's live stream, of course, but obviously we recommend you go back and properly study the footprint modules, the volume modules, and of course parts 1 to 4 tonight, covering single prints. And questions about tonight's topic will be done in their own video. And for the people wondering about chart of the week, Mike, I saw a comment from Mike today about chart of the week, and there's just not much altcoin setups at the moment that are like high quality, decent setups. So Mike is essentially waiting for a nice one to come along before it's kind of pointless in sharing a chart of the week if there's actually not a trade. So he's waiting for that. So that will be, I'm sure, coming up soon when he has a setup basically. But just so you're aware of that, with the questions, of course, like normal, ask your questions over in Discord. Victor and Mike will collect the questions and, send them over in a PowerPoint, which will probably be answered tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, I'll probably do the questions. I'm thinking it's better for me if I try and keep these around like more to the 40-minute mark, and then I just do a separate live stream tomorrow with all the questions. And that way, I can do a Bitcoin update tomorrow and take questions and split it up a little bit more rather than doing a full hour 20-minute video tonight. I can just do 40 minutes tonight and 40 minutes tomorrow. In like a members stream with the questions. For me, it makes more sense, and for you get a bit of extra content as well, so it's nice. So yeah, that's what I'll likely do that today. I'll probably do the questions tomorrow with a Bitcoin update tomorrow afternoon, let's say. But for tonight, single prints. So single prints are essentially like a wick on the candlestick charts. When you look at your normal candlesticks and you obviously see a wick on a candlestick, the single prints are essentially like a wick on the high or low of the candlestick. So if you see a wick up at the high, that would be actually your selling tail, and if you see a wick at the low, that would be your buying tail. But the single prints are in the middle of price action. E.g., you see consolidation, a really quick move down during the day, an area of consolidation, another quick move down. Those areas, whether you get those really quick, like one candle down sort of thing, that would be single prints. Obviously, I'll explain much more as we go through tonight, but that's essentially what a single print is. Okay, and this is obviously on your TPO charts, of course. So I trade them in the same way that I trade gaps. Obviously, when we're talking about the CME gaps, I have done a video on gaps. Wouldn't like to say the number offhand, actually. we have over 100 videos now, but I've definitely covered gaps on the stock market video that I done. I had hazard a guess maybe in the 40s. It was quite early on that I done the gap. But essentially I trade single prints in the same way that I trade gaps in that regard. So the top of the single print is resistance. That's if we're obviously trading above it. So if we're trading above, just as if we were trading above a CME gap, we expect the top of that gap to hold as support. But if we get acceptance into the gap, we expect it to fill the gap, no? And then once you've filled the gap, you expect a bounce potentially, yeah? So I trade single prints in the same way. If you have a row of single prints, I would expect the top of those single prints to hold as support. But if we get acceptance into that row of single prints, I expect it to fill the single print rows. Yeah, so that makes sense. So I'm drawing on a comparison between the way I trade gaps and the way I trade single prints. I view them in essentially the same way. They are essentially, we could describe it as maybe inefficiencies in price action. Essentially that I trade them in the same way. Let's just say that. And obviously single prints are highlighted in the new TPO template that I shared with you all, or this would have been a few weeks back now. That's obviously pinned in the contenders section on Discord. Will be on the new website, which we're making, a whole section dedicated to just all the templates together. But yeah, these are the single prints in the new template. They're highlighted in the middle of the profile. You can see a single print rows here and here, a very small single print. This for me is not so important, but these big row of single prints here, you can see on this chart you have selling tails, small, very small row of single prints. This for me is not majorly important, but when we start to see, here, that here we got 3 single prints, here we have 33 single prints, and there we have 3. So you'll see what I mean talking about this a little bit later, but I like to see at least 5 single prints for really classing it as a strong level, whereas this of 3 it's officially like a row of single prints, but you really want to see in the brackets like 5 plus. The more the number, the more powerful that level is going to be. Okay, this of 3 is not going to, it might offer a minor level, but this is a really major level sort of thing. So in the brackets, that's just saying how many single prints there are. Okay, so single prints are between 54,962 and 55,762, and there is 33 single prints in here. Obviously, changing the tick size is going to adjust this, but yeah, on my template, just keep it as I've given you. It's all good. So this is a zoomed in view in case you couldn't see the last picture very well. So if price is trading above a row of single prints, we expect the top of the single prints to act as support. If we just go back, so if we are trading here, for example, and we have a row of single prints, we would expect on a retest the top of these single prints to act as support. E.g., make a really quick example, if we were trading here, we would expect the top of the single print to act as a support level. Okay, so the top of these single prints, we have to envision is support. Okay, if price is trading below a row of single prints, we expect the bottom of the single prints to act as resistance. E.g., if we were, let's say we had, just imagine that we're trading down here and this is a row of single prints from yesterday. If we're trading below, we expect the bottom of the single prints to act as resistance. That's fairly self-explanatory, And this is the important thing. If price gets acceptance into the single print area, we expect the single print rows to be filled, just as we trade gaps. So going back to this example, if we show you this a second, if we see, first of all, we would expect this to act as support. So if you would generally expect this to act as support, and the single print will, hold as support. But if we actually start to see acceptance into the big row of single prints, we expect this to be filled. Okay, and then obviously at the low of the single prints, you can look for another bounce. Essentially, this would be like your gap on a CME chart, and you filled a gap. Well, generally, you are expecting a bounce after filling the gap. Okay, but at the very least, when you see the acceptance, that's when you look for the single prints to be filled. Okay, so that's basically the 3 major sort of rules that you have on single prints. So here we can see a big move up in the middle of a prior profile that left a row of single prints. Okay, so you can see here, that this is the same example. You obviously left a row of single prints. What we would expect is the top of the single prints, of course, to act as support. But if price gets acceptance into the top of the single prints, we expect the row to be filled.